I'm Rebecca Carner. Today's tuning is about beneficial connections. Um, we're just going to start by grounding in here. So for many of us who are sort of on a self-actualization kick or self-embetterment kick, or noticing the energies and all that good stuff in our lives, the quality of our connections is definitely a department worth noticing, and that I think a lot of people really are starting to pay more and more attention to. And you know, there's so many articles in all of my feeds because of all the things that I follow around relationships and toxic relationships and the empath relationship and the narcissistic relationship and all these variety of assessment of connections that often are sort of how to notice the bad stuff or what you don't want. And today I really wanted to tune towards something expansive, which is all of our beneficial connections, even while we're trying to, say, improve or tidy up some of the departments in our lives. Are we even noticing and really registering the good stuff? And not only are we registering it, but are we celebrating it? And because if you want to build on something, you have to start somewhere. Everybody take a nice big deep breath. There's a lot of tension right here. Recognizing the good stuff and the good connections, little and big. There we go. There we go. Nice, okay. For instance, you know, you might want to change or finesse or shift any number of relationships in your life, but I'm talking about all connections. So they can be from the passing connection of you and a checkout clerk at a store, the interaction of you and another driver in another car next to you, a person who you may never physically meet on the interpersonal level, but it's still a connection made. And while we're sort of contemplating maybe some of the deeper and bigger relationships in our life, do we notice all the infinitesimal and the multitude, the small and the many smaller interactions that we have, and are we noticing them and celebrating them for the good things, the person who holds the door for you, the car that lets you in traffic? Or are you just focusing on, oh my gosh, you know, my partner really let me down in this way again, oh, are they always going to do that, or whatever? But did you notice that you got to go first in the deli line? Or little things like that. And enjoying them. and sort of adding that to the stockpile of goodness in any given day. And the stockpile, like really, it's putting water in the well, sort of building your reservoir for maybe sort of the deeper and more complex shifts that you're looking for. So I'm going to start on the right side. There felt like more tension on the right side. So we'll see if that's something here on the right side is what's really barring us from really noticing and really drinking in the benefit and reaping the full reward of all the good connections that happen all the time, all around us. All right, so far the sort of stickiest places are, it's weird, there's a real sense of wondering if we are, it's like it's a question of if we're where we need to be. It's like, well, how can I be thankful that this car let me in traffic, for instance, because I'm already running late. So I'm already behind where I should be. So the fact that the car let me in isn't really a gift. It's like it only afforded me enough time to sort of get where I should have been already. So that's really missing the point, isn't it? It's like, well, if I'm running late and this car let me in and I can make up that 2-3 minutes, whatever, and get to wherever I was going more on time because I already started at a deficit, it's like we blow past the benefit that we got. And how do we really, it just takes a nanosecond to notice these things and to really onboard them. But it also takes a nanosecond that you don't register that little happenstance, and then it's gone. And if you didn't sort of tag it with appreciation or celebration as the little gift that it was, it can sort of get lost in the past without carrying the full weight of what it was offering you. Whew, I guess that's why we had to start on the right side. So the first words that came in were, if we could just slow down, but the fact is that we're moving at the pace we're moving, right? So how do we work with what is? And what dropped in is really just remember to breathe. You don't necessarily have to move any slower or be getting any less done. But if you breathe, it helps you onboard those tiny little benefits that you may have otherwise sort of just rolled past. you can retain a stronger sense of calm even while moving as fast as you feel like you need to. And that's really what's going to, there we go. And that's really what's going to shift the amount that you're able to perceive in any given moment. My grandmother had this expression, it's good enough for a galloping horse. I can hear her saying it. And what she sort of meant by that was, if I would be, for instance, fretting on how an outfit looked or a hairstyle or something like that, her point was, don't stress about something, stand in the mirror and really fixate on it, because anybody who sees you is going to be seeing you in motion, unless you're going to sit for a really still portrait or something like that. Nobody sits and looks at you objectively in a perfectly still frame, right? Meaning you look good enough to be in motion. People just see you in motion anyway. You're always moving. I mean, one is always moving. And that calmness, you can even maintain that sense of perceptive calmness on a galloping horse. So yes, you left late. Yes, you're jockeying through traffic, trying to get to your meeting on time or whatever it is. But even on that galloping horse, you can still notice, take the breath, have the awareness, and notice the small gifts that the universe is serving up to you. Because then that way, even though you may have left the house a little bit late, and are in a bit of a rush, if you notice the little gifts, then maybe when you get to the meeting, it's going to go exactly how you hoped it would, because you've been filling your well with the water of all the good things. You left late, but somehow you arrived on time. You got there cool and collected rather than frazzled because that car let you in, even though you left late. And what a different shift that is. It doesn't mean that you didn't change anything, but your perception and what you've onboarded has shifted dramatically. And that really changes your experience and sweetens it. And then similarly, that really brightened and lightened a lot. Similarly, then, in those little ways, if your well's a little bit more full, if your reserve is more fortified, then that also then bolsters you to find some of the small benefits that you can build on in relationships that might be a little bit more challenging for you. That sort of more challenging character that you think, oh, so-and-so's always going to do this thing that I wish they wouldn't do. If you sort of broadened your perception and strengthened your practice of noticing the small benefits, then even with that character with whom you don't necessarily jive with particularly well, rather than focusing solely on the bits that don't go smoothly, you might be able to see, okay, well, so-and-so always does this, which I don't love. But, you know, I will say that they consistently bring this to the table, and that's a benefit. And it benefits me, and it's one of their more redeeming qualities in my eyes. Yeah, that's really calmed a lot of the tension down, just that thought. And I want to be clear that I don't mean only putting a positive spin on things, or it's not trying to diminish what frustrates or punt into some sort of whitewashing of a bad situation with a sort of topical practice of gratitude. I really mean it in the deeper, richer sense, because things aren't black and white. Things aren't only this. Everything is always a yes and. So even the cruddiest situation or the most contentious relationship has something that's also good in it. It is almost rare, I mean, gosh, almost never, right? Blanket statements are such dodgy things, but things are always more complex than just this or just that. Things are always a both and. And so, yeah, when you up your practice in noticing the little gifts, then when you're in the more trying situations, it kind of strengthens your curiosity muscle to really explore, okay, well, this is difficult for me, but is there a positive stone that I can sort of build on, rather than just focusing on the negative. You know, again, it's where I'm coming back into that feeling of, on the right side of the body, it was really all about, but I'm not where I should be. And this feeling feels like, but when I'm in those situations, all I want to do is be anywhere else. So it's almost like we resist being fully present and looking for that silver lining because we're too consumed with the thoughts of, get me out of this. I want to remove myself now. And how to really breathe into the moment and be present even when it's feeling not fun. Which is a form of dissociation. Again, so common and such a beneficial coping skill, all the way up until the point when it isn't. So we're gonna, rather than look for the good, there's just a real hang up right here around, I don't want to fully be present because all I can think about is that I'd rather be anywhere else. So how are we gonna shift that feeling to really know, even the good stuff can be hard. Just because something might ultimately benefit us, and it will create ease in our life, it doesn't mean that right when we are doing it, it feels easy or it feels good. And that just really takes some trust and some faith. There we go. Whew. That really takes some trust and some faith to really give oneself over fully to that concept. All right, so here I am with this connection that doesn't feel good to me. And I think that I can change the spin of it. And I think I can create it into something much more beneficial for me. That takes straight up trust. Connect that up. I'll drop it into the body in just a second, but let's really draw that idea up. There we go. To lighten and brighten this little cluster of resistance that we hit right here. That Carl Jung quote, Jung, however you say his name, that what we resist persists. So we're really working on that little resistance pocket right there, so that us feeling bad in our connections does not persist. If we can reduce that resistance right there. There we go. There we go. Yeah, there's really this nice resonant thrum of just being able to really be present to all the connections, again, big and little, the passing and the ongoing, the fleeting and the long-lived, and being fully present where we are can really help us shift and celebrate, not just sort of dread the contentious ones, but really celebrate all the ease that exists. Everybody take a nice big deep breath into the present. And you're exactly where you need to be. And you don't need to get out. There we go. Nice. All right, wonderful. All right, let me wrap up the field. this up. Wonderful. All right. May you enjoy your week of connections and really celebrate all the good ones that you encounter, big and small. I'm Rebecca Carner. Visit RebeccaCarner.com. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel, and have a great day.